All right, Buffalo Bills fans, welcome to this episode of the Walkthrough. I'm your host, Anthony Marino. Happy to be here with you, part of the Overreaction Sports Network. Hey, listen, recording here a couple of days after Christmas. I hope that you and yours all had a great Christmas holiday. You were able to spend time with family and friends, and hopefully you didn't have to watch any of those craptastic games that were on Christmas Day and the NFL slate. So it's funny, you go into the season when the schedule comes out, there's always party like, God, how would I have reacted if the Bills were playing on Christmas Day? And let's just say that I'm happy that they weren't. So, but listen, we've got a lot to talk about on today's show. Of course, we are brought to you by our friends here at FanDuel. And going into this game, right, 4:25 p.m. kickoff at Highmark Stadium on Sunday afternoon, Buffalo Bills favored by 1.5 points over the Philadelphia Eagles. The over-under set at 44.5. Those numbers coming to you again from FanDuel.com. So as we go into this, it's crazy to think week 17 of the NFL season. I was going back even through some old episodes, and it was, where you run through the whole season, you make your predictions. And honestly, in the regular season, gosh, I was really optimistic having the Bills going 15-2, and one of those two losses being this week to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm not sure that I feel the same way, but we'll kind of get into that throughout the show today. And let me know how you're feeling about the game as well. For those of you on YouTube watching live, make sure you hit us in the comments section. Hit us with a Go Bills. Hit us with your game predictions. And when you can, in addition to commenting, make sure you make sure you subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or wherever you get this in your podcast form. That helps us to make sure that you get all of our great shows here at the Overreaction Sports Network from myself, Joe Miller, John Fina, Jerry Ostrowski, Zig Fracassi, Dan Freddy. We've got you covered throughout the week. But that also helps us reach more Buffalo Bills fans. And whether it be throughout the regular season or then the playoffs or the off season, it's always fun to be chatting Buffalo Bills, and appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. So as we do each and every week here during the season, let's go through the Buffalo Bills injury report. First up on the list, and we'll talk about him in more detail coming up, Josh Allen, who was limited in practice on Wednesday and Thursday, was a full participant on Friday. No game status for him despite the foot injury. Like I said, we will talk about him in just a bit. Cole Bishop popped up on the injury report with a rib injury. He was a full participant all 3 days. No issues there. On a positive side, Joey Bosa with his hamstring. He did not practice on Wednesday, was limited on Thursday, full participant on Friday. No game status for him. Ray Davis popped up with a knee, but he was a full participant all 3 days. Nothing to see there. One that's going to leave the Bills in a bit of a tough spot, defensive tackle Daquan Jones with a calf. Did not practice all week, already been ruled out heading into Sunday. One of the Bills starters at defensive tackle is going to have to miss that game. DNP, both talking tight ends here, right? So both Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox with a knee. Neither one of them practiced on Wednesday. Neither one practiced on Thursday. Both were limited on Friday. Both listed as questionable for Sunday's game. Taron Johnson with a quad, limited on Wednesday and Thursday. Full go on Friday. No game status for him. Cam Lewis with the hamstring. He was limited on Wednesday and Thursday. Full go on Friday. No game status for him. I'm going to jump ahead here just a little bit. Shaq Thompson with the neck was limited on both Wednesday and Thursday. He was a full go on Friday. And then let's get to some other guys that were listed as out. Jordan Phillips with his ankle did not practice all week. He is out for Sunday's game. Jordan Poyer with the hamstring, which was a little bit afraid that this was going to be the case, did not practice all week. He has already been ruled out for Sunday's game. And then kicker Matt Prater, who earlier was listed as week-to-week by head coach Sean McDermott. Well, he did not practice at all this week with that right quad injury. He has also been ruled out. So as far as going into Sunday's game, Matt Prater, Jordan Poyer, Jordan Phillips, Daquan Jones, all ruled out for Sunday's game. Two guys with the questionable tag, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. So as we go into it, a little bit more of a lengthy report than you would like to see, especially late in the season as you're getting ready for the playoffs. But that's the situation where our beloved Buffalo Bills are right now. Before we get into my topics for this week, real quick, got to give a shout out to everybody at Anchor Bar for their support of the walkthrough and everything we do here at the Overreaction Sports Network. You know, it's the home of the original Buffalo chicken wing, and it's a great place to watch the Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Sabres, maybe some college basketball, maybe some of the bowl games. Make sure you go to anchorbar.com. You can find out all the information on their locations where you can catch your favorite sports teams. You know, their wings, they're fresh, never frozen. I mean, we tell you this each and every week, but got to remind you 24 different sauces and rubs so you can get your wings certainly to a number of different varieties, just how you like them. In addition to their famous wings, maybe you're feeling something different or you want to get some wings, something to go on the side. All kinds of appetizers, tenders, pizza, beef on weck, burgers, sandwiches, salads, and so much more. Like I said, go to anchorbar.com. You can find a location near you. You can find the menus and see all the great options that they have. And, you know, right now, currently 16 locations, and they added 3 new locations in Tucson, Arizona, Frisco, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina. And my weekly reminder to everyone from Anchor Bar to please open a location here in Albany, New York. So big shout out again, anchorbar.com for more details there. So as we talk about the game this week, I got to be honest. And each week I kind of sit down with a cup of coffee, jot down some notes of what I want to talk about. And I'm struggling when it comes to this week, not so much of what to talk about, right? There's so many different storylines with the team. But here you are in week 17, playoff spot has been secured. It's going to take a lot of help in order to get a chance to win the AFC East, right? You got to win both games. And then you've got to have either the Dolphins or Jets upset the Patriots with a backup quarterback, which certainly, listen, crazier things have happened in the NFL. You talk about the games on Christmas Day, like nobody would have seen that happening with the Vikings beating the Lions with the way that game played out. But I wrestle with these last 2 games because in a way it's like, okay, you're in the playoffs. And I guess what I'm trying to say is the conversation around resting players and making sure you come out of the regular season healthy versus doing what you can to get the highest seed possible. You know, again, the outside chance that you can win the AFC East, looking at things and say, hey, well, you know, can you get to the 5 seed? Do you end up as the 6? Do you end up as the 7? And I think people have a lot of opinions with this. And I think the rest conversation comes into play. And we'll talk about Josh Allen in a little bit, right? But, you know, when Josh Allen, you see him go down awkwardly with the foot injury the other day. And then the Bills offense against the Cleveland Browns really not looking the same from there on out. And it can be a number of different factors, right? Maybe you just sort of like, hey, let's just get out of here with a win and just do what we have to do. But, you know, you think to these past few years, and listen, I'm sure there's some of you saying this right now. Every team deals with injuries. Every team across the NFL, 100%. I totally get it. But, you know, when you think in years past when a Christian Benford goes out with an injury and you're forced to play Kyer Elam, when you've got A.J. Klein playing off the couch, right, leaving a family vacation to play, just when you think to all the injuries that take place down the stretch. And now you kind of have these 2 games, which honestly, in my opinion, they don't mean a whole lot for the team. They really just don't, right? Like whether you work yourself up to the 5 seed or the 6 or the 7, I don't know. Like you can look at this field in the AFC and think to yourself, like, I don't know. There's nobody that I look at and say, oh, I don't want the Buffalo Bills to play this team. And maybe we've talked about that in the past, right? Oh, you know, last year, the Bengals get in, they're going to be dangerous because they're rolling. Or you look at the Ravens and think to yourself, gosh, Lamar Jackson and how good he is. And, you know, talk about Derrick Henry at running back. Ugh. Kansas City Chiefs, of course, being your nemesis in the past. Like, so now you look at it and it's like, all right, if you play the Broncos, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Steelers, Jaguars, Texans, you know, you go through all these teams and all very good teams, right? All going to make the playoffs for a reason. No one I really see backing in any way, shape, or form, like teams that all deserve to be there. But there's nobody on paper that you're going to look at and be like, oh my gosh, under any circumstances, no way do I want to play the X. And you can look at this and think to yourself, okay, the Bills can beat any one of these teams in the AFC. And I also wouldn't be surprised if any of these teams beat the Buffalo Bills. in the playoffs this year. So again, you go back to, I mean, you're not going to rest your starters for 2 weeks. That's not even normal. And you hear a lot of different content creators, media members, podcast hosts, talk about this, and you hear varying different things, right? Always listen to Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. Love the work that he does. And he has got some serious concerns when it comes to the injuries that the Buffalo Bills have, most notably around Josh Allen, him getting healthy for the playoffs, because at the end of the day, that's the most important player to any team in the playoffs, you can say right now, right? Josh Allen is more important to his team than probably anybody else in the AFC. On the flip side, right, I'm listening to Tim Graham and always appreciate his show that he does with Jonah Bronstein and listening to his podcast. And he's like, you can't take these next 2 weeks off. You do not look sharp enough. You do not look good enough to basically treat these as, preseason games or vanilla games. Or you know where I'm going with this, right? But like, you haven't been playing well enough to just be like, oh yeah, everything is clicking for us. We've got it all figured out with this rotation, with this defensive line, with this wide receiver group. Not even close, right? Not even close. So I listen to these two guys that I respect very much in the work that they do. And then you find yourself going into this game on Sunday. And it's like, how do I feel with this? Because at first, I will be honest, it's just like, yeah, anybody that's on the fence, rest them. If you're questionable, Dalton Kincaid, like there is no need for you to touch the field, right? None whatsoever. You are such an integral part to the passing game that it's like, need whatever you can to have him healthy going into the playoffs. Then there's the other side of you again, and this is recency bias because you are, again, coming off the game against the Cleveland Browns where the team just did not look good. It just did not look good. And you can even talk the games before it. The victory over the Patriots looked great in the second half. First half, no chance. Same thing with the matchup the week before against the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Start off horribly. Then you get to a part where everything is cooking and you get the win. So I'm wrestling with this game. I'm wrestling with it a lot. It's one of those that a lot of people have said this. I wish this game was taking place earlier in the season, right? This would be a prime, like going into the year, I thought this would have been like a Sunday night football matchup. But here we are, week 17. And I don't expect the Bills to rest their starters, right? Last 2 games at Highmark Stadium, got to get some things going well. Like, I think this could be an exciting matchup on Sunday. And on paper, it doesn't feel like one. When you look at the Bills' injuries and you look at the weapons that the Eagles have, the talent on their defense, on paper, you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't feel good about it. But the Eagles are not having this stellar season either. Sal Capaccio talks about this a lot of times, right? Like if you are so focused on the Buffalo Bills, it is hard to see the 20,000-foot view for what every other NFL team is going through. And I will admit that, right? At this point in my life, it's like 95% of my fandom is placed into the Buffalo Bills, and the other 5%, maybe listening to things around the league. Like we all only have so many hours in the day that we can do this. But Eagles fans are not happy right now. They're not happy with the way their team is playing. And heck, they won a Super Bowl just a year ago. And that's why you look at it again. We said earlier, FanDuel has the Bills at a 1.5-point favorite. If you asked me going into this game, I would have expected the Bills to be a home underdog. But they're not. I don't expect Sean McDermott to rest starters. I don't expect the Bills to take the foot off the gas. I expect them to go out with this one and to see it as a true test. And as we've talked about all season, right? The team seems to play down to their competition. Well, they also seem to rise to the challenge. And I think with the Eagles, this is going to be a little bit of a fun one, maybe a little bit of a shootout on Sunday. Well, I did hear the weather forecast not looking good. A lot of rain on Sunday. I'm not saying I expect that to affect the play on the field, but for those of you that might be going to Highmark Stadium, you've already been checking the weather. But I don't think it's going to be the best conditions to be sitting outside in the cold and rain and all that fun stuff. So when we talk about this matchup, right, and again, we talk about seeding and how important that is, or I can look at things and say, listen, whoever the Bills play, home, road, whatever in the AFC, I'm okay with that. And going back, Joe Marino was making a point earlier this week, and I hadn't really thought about this, this way. I mean, you look at the Bills and a lot of the conversation, like, well, the competition and this and that, and it's like, but yeah, is this really the year for the Bills to make the Super Bowl? Well, let's put anything with the injuries just to the side, but you kind of look at the field in the AFC, and Joe put it. I thought he stated it well. Like, is Bo Nix or Trevor Lawrence, or C.J. Stroud, or Justin Herbert or Drake May, like one of those guys that they're going to make the Super Bowl before Josh Allen does? Like I just don't see that happening. And the way he put it, I'm not giving him enough credit or doing justice with it. But when you look at it and you talk about the field, and again, no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow. Aaron Rodgers in that mix, but Aaron Rodgers has been to a Super Bowl before. And you just think to yourself, like, yeah, the chances are really good in the AFC that you're going to have a first-time QB leading their team to the Super Bowl. And is this that opportunity for Josh Allen to be that guy? And that's no disrespect to those other quarterbacks, right? Like, when you go through those names, all franchise guys, like, for what you've seen, okay, yeah, Trevor Lawrence having a great season. Drake May in the MVP conversation. C.J. Stroud, now that he's healthy, like, combine that offense with that defense, yeah, sure. Bo Nix along those same lines, right? Second-year QB, showed a great potential as a rookie. Now in year 2, you see what he can bring to the table. And Justin Herbert, despite the issues that they've had with the offensive line, here they are still in contention to potentially win the AFC West. But when you're so focused on the Bills and everything that has gone wrong, all the injuries that are there, and there's plenty, it is a little bit this season of like, yeah, why not us? Right? And there'll be years before this that you look at the roster, you look at how healthy they are, and you're like, this is the year. This is the opportunity. No one's really feeling that way, at least right now, based on the way the team has been playing. But yeah, why not us this year? Doesn't feel like it. It hasn't been that season of like these super highs. Like most of the, those signature wins have been the in the cardiac ward. You think the comeback against the Ravens, again, the comeback against the Patriots, the comeback against the Bengals, all those things, those signature wins that stand out for you. Yeah, why not us this year? I don't know. Maybe I'm a little crazy. Even in the 20 minutes that I've been talking to you so far, I've kind of been on the roller coaster of optimism and pessimism, but why not? Right? Why not? You got Josh Allen back there. You got James Cook back there. You got guys that can make plays on defense. Again, has not been as consistent, all of these things. But maybe you start to get a little bit healthy. Maybe you get an Ed Oliver back, right? Maybe you kind of get things where it needs to be. Why not us this year? So, listen, a couple of other things looking at when you talk about Sunday's matchup. Defensive tackle, without Jordan Phillips, without Daquan Jones, a lot of focus is going to be on that group. Larry Ogunjobi, TJ Sanders, Deion Walker, especially for Sanders and Ogunjobi, if there's ever an opportunity for these two guys to step up, Sunday is going to be it because they're going to be playing a lot of snaps. I'm guessing you might even see one of the defensive ends kind of shifting over and playing some defensive tackle on pass rushing situations. But for Ogunjobi and Sanders, yeah, this is your opportunity on Sunday, and let's see what can definitely happen with these guys. Another thing to keep an eye on when we talk about wide receiver, we talk about wide receiver all the time. Was surprised again last week that Gabe Davis was a healthy scratch and inactive. I do hope to see him active again this weekend. I pretty much am going to say it every single week. But with this group, you're going to get more out of Gabe Davis on the field than you're going to get out of Nicole Hardman as a punt returner. And to me, that was a big surprise last week. So let's see what happens there. If you listen to last week's show, you'll remember I talked a little bit about Brandon Cook saying like, hey, you had that big drop last week. Let's see if you can kind of get things back, make a big play against the Cleveland Browns. Here's an opportunity for you. Another big drop for Brandon Cooks this past weekend. Obviously did not love to see that happen. But let's see if maybe he can get some things going here just a little bit. And, when you get one of those opportunities, you're 0 for 2 in these last 2 games. Let's see if you can make something happen here. And the last one, a guy that's been certainly forgotten in the passing game, Terrell Shavers. He had a really nice performance against the Bucs, and the 4 games since then have not seen much. I'm not talking a lot here, but like maybe if we can get him a couple of targets, like give someone an opportunity to make a play. I get it. We can talk about the level of talent. We can talk about separation, but sometimes it might be scheming something up and seeing what can happen for one of these guys. I know I'm grasping at straws here. I mean, let's be honest. I'm talking about Gabe Davis, Tyrell Shavers, and Brandon Cooks, and what they can do as it relates to your wide receiver core and the passing game. But listen, that's where we are at this point as it comes to week 17, and I'm holding out hope at this point. Final point for the show. Jordan Poyer listed as out for this game with the hamstring. Listen, even if it was questionable, someone you were going to need for the playoffs. So him being out this week, hopefully it's nothing too crazy and more just a week-to-week type of thing. But who is going to start at safety opposite of Cole Bishop, right? Cam Lewis, full participant on Friday. That is probably my bet. But is it going to be Jordan Hancock? Is the 5th-round rookie from Ohio State going to get an opportunity to be a starter for the Bills this weekend? I don't think so. He did not play any defensive snaps last week, so I'm guessing it's going to be Cam Lewis. Maybe it's Darnell Savage. Maybe there's something else that takes place and we get a little bit of a surprise, but that is certainly something to keep an eye on heading into Sunday's game. So again, as we head into Sunday's game, make sure you hit us up in the comments section here. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe as well. That always helps us reach more and more Bills fans. And again, just kind of the run through of everything we talked about today. Injury report, don't need to go through all that again. According to FanDuel, Buffalo Bills 1.5-point favorite at home. 44.5 is the over-under. I don't expect the Bills to rest anybody on Sunday, but you're going for that seeding, hoping that the Bills come out of this matchup in relatively healthy situation, getting to the end of the regular season. For the Bills, why not us this year? All eyes on that defensive tackle group on Sunday. Larry Ogunjobi, TJ Sanders, Deion Walker, and, of course, what's going to happen with the wide receiver rotation and who's going to start at safety opposite of Cole Bishop. So, listen, I'm going to get out of here for now. Always appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you catch all the shows that we have here at the Overreaction Sports Network because we're bringing it to you each and every day, talking about our beloved Buffalo Bills. So, listen, have a great and safe Happy New Year. To all of you, enjoy the game on Sunday. Go Bills, and I'll see you all next week. Take care.